Welcome to Impact Sales Live. I'm your host, Joe Beck, founder of The Sales Activist and host of the Impact Sales podcast. Impact Sales Live was created to shine a spotlight on the best practices and tips that will help you stand out from the crowd in regard to sales. Whether you are an entrepreneur, a coach, a consultant, or a sales professional selling for a company, you'll get a lot of value from Impact Sales Live. And we have a great episode of Impact Sales Live in store for you today. So I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to share my screen and we are going to get started. So bear with me 1 second here. Okay, here we go. So for today's episode of Impact Sales Live, today we're going to be talking about how to triple your sales results. That's right, triple your sales results in 6 months or less, all without spending a single dollar on advertising. So this is going to be a great episode. We're going to go through a lot of material. You want to make sure you're in a quiet place where you can take down some great information, grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, grab a notebook, make sure that you're focused on what it is that we're going to be going through today. You don't want to miss it. So who is this for? Who is this live stream for? Well, it's for coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, and sales professionals that are out there selling for a company. Now, it doesn't matter what your industry is, what your product or service or offering is. If you're a coach, consultant, entrepreneur, or sales professional, you're going to get a lot out of today's live event. So grab your notebook, get ready. We're going to get started right here. So before we jump into the content, I thought it would be important for me just to spend a couple of minutes just talking about a little bit about who I am and what qualifies me to be going over this with all of you. So for the past 34 years, I pretty much have been focused on one area of business, and that's sales and business development. It's pretty much been my entire working career focused on those two things. I've personally produced over $400 million in sales transaction volume. And I don't tell anybody that to impress them. I tell them that so that you're aware that the stuff that we're going to be talking about today is actionable. It's worked in multiple industries. It continues to work with the people that I have worked with for and have trained, and it's made a huge difference in their lives. So you're going to get a lot of great material here. I've led sales teams as large as 200 team members. So whether you're out there on your own as an entrepreneur or a consultant or a coach selling, or whether you're part of a team, the things that I'm going to go through today in this live experience really can be used in any environment. And I started training people on these things going back over 20 years ago now in bits and pieces, and I've put it all together here for a much more concise delivery. Across my career, I've personally coached, trained, or mentored over 3,500 sales professionals and entrepreneurs. It's probably the one thing that I'm most proud of in my professional background is having the opportunity to impact that many people's lives. And a lot of the things that I have shared and taught them during that experience, you know, whether I coached them in it or trained them specifically on it or just mentored them, are going to be things that I'm going to be talking about today. And today's event is going, you know, if you embrace what we're going to share, if you focus on the things we're going to talk about, can have a huge impact in your success. So I implore you, take it seriously, dedicate the time for today's live event, grab that cup of coffee, like I said, and get your notes ready to go. So let's start with one of the areas that I like to focus on and key on anytime that I'm going through anything with somebody. I like to remind people that there are 3 elements of success. You know, what I call the 3 basic elements of success. And, you know, that success could be success in sales, it could be success in business, or it could be success in life. There are 3 key things that really, you know, make a difference in your success. And the first is your mindset, how you think about things. You know, your mindset determines a lot of your success. Now, today's experience is not just about mindset, but I think it's important that we start there. You know, you can have a bunch of different perspectives on things. You can look at everything that you face in this world as an obstacle, and you will forever be challenged, right? Or you can look at the things that you face as opportunities, and you will forever be able to take advantage of them, make good things happen. And a lot of it is because of your mindset. Now, mindset isn't the only thing. We all know that. And having knowledge doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to accomplish anything. So your mindset is just a piece of the puzzle. So what else do you need to be successful? Well, the next one is an important one. You need to have a really strong network. And that is the people that you associate with, do business with, network with, interact with, communicate with. Look, no matter who you are, people play a large role in your success. You may not want to admit this. You may be that classic introvert that doesn't want to think that people will impact their success and they can just kind of shut themselves away. But the fact is, people will ultimately determine a lot of your success. Getting to work with the right people, learning from the right people, getting a better understanding of people, learning how to interact with them in a business standpoint can make all the difference in the world for your success. So your network, the people that you associate with, play a large role in your success as well. And finally, and this is going to be where we're going to spend the majority of our time today, the systems that you deploy in sales, in business, or in your life really play a major role in your success. Now, what are the systems? Well, that's what you do and how you do it. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about sales, business, or your life. What you do and how you do it will ultimately determine how successful you are. So today, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about system-related things, what you do, how you do it. We're going to be getting into these specific things as it relates to your sales success and how you can triple your sales results in 6 months or less without spending a single dollar on advertising. And that is only possible if you really dial in your systems. You really dial in what you're doing and how you're doing it. And we're going to talk about what those things are today. We're going to be going through at a very high level the things that you really need to master to be successful in sales, the things that really need to be dialed in, laser focused, on point, and performing for you every step of the way. So we're going to get into that right now. So let's start with, and again, we talked about it at the beginning in the key elements of success, mastering what we call your sales success mindset. See, there's a specific mindset that you need to have if you're going to be successful in sales. And that mindset, really plays a major role in how far you will go in selling and what you'll be able to accomplish. And there are a couple of key elements that you need to highlight when you're talking about your sales success mindset. See, we all know, we've all heard the adage that sales is a numbers game. And that usually comes as part of a broader statement, which is usually that you're going to face a lot of rejections. You're going to hear a lot of no's before you get to the yeses. And that's absolutely true. There's no getting around that. That's absolutely true. Nobody bats 1,000. Nobody goes 100% on every opportunity. You're going to get some no's. You're going to get some rejections. So the first thing that your sales success mindset needs to be built around is this idea that you're going to fail forward, that you're going to go through some adversity. You're going to get some no's. You're going to get some rejection, but that's okay. That's all part of the journey. You can't let that rattle you. You can't let that knock you off track. And you certainly can't let that prevent you from moving forward, because right around the corner, your success, the wins, the positive aspect of selling could be right there. But there's something that's deeper in the sales success mindset. And that's what I want to share now. And it really boils down to this. Sales is no different than any other craft or expertise or talent that you can learn out there. Nobody is born as a salesperson. Now, I know some people are born with a little bit more of an outgoing personality and they're better communicators a little more naturally than others, but nobody is born a salesperson, okay? I want to dispel that rumor right now. It's an urban myth. Nobody is born a salesperson. All great salespeople are developed and cultivated and trained and nurtured. And that really comes from their own desire to want to continue to improve. So the first thing that really needs to be a foundational piece of your sales success mindset, beyond just understanding you're going to face some rejection, is you have to be committed to do one of two things. And these are the only two things that you will experience in your sales success mindset. You're either going to win or you're going to learn. And you need to be committed to the development of your craft. Even when you don't win, even when you don't close business or succeed in selling, you need to take something from that. You need to learn something from it, because everything that you learn makes it more important and more, realistic that you're going to win the next time around. So it's so important that you either win or you learn. The other piece that's important to your sales success mindset, and this is one that I want you to underline and write down. Get your pens out, jot it down. If you're typing notes, type your notes. If you're watching the recording, go back and listen to this piece again. There's another aspect to sales success mindset, and that is the best, most dialed in sales professionals have this mindset of service, this mindset of, I want to become a trusted advisor. I want to help people. I want to make an impact, right? And these things really make a big difference in your mindset. The more people you help accomplish what they're looking for, the easier it becomes for you to reach what you're looking for. So you have that as part of your mindset. And then finally, and this is one of those things, and I call it almost stubbornness, but it's absolutely true. You have to have this refusal to fail mentality. Like, I'm not going to fail. I'm either going to win or I'm going to learn, but failure is not in my language. Failure is not going to be something that I'm going to allow to have happen to me. And these are the things that make up your sales success mindset. And, I'll be very real and transparent with you. You need to stay focused on that. You need to look at that regularly and make sure that your mindset is not off track, that you haven't been knocked off path as it relates to your mindset. That's why it's at the top of the list. And that's why you need to keep going back and making sure that you're thinking, I'm either going to win or I'm going to learn, and I'm going to get better every step of the way. So the second thing that you need to do, and this is so important as part of your system, you need to master the art of leveraging relationships to generate friendly introductions or referrals to potential clients. Now, I like the word or the words friendly introductions or warm and friendly introductions a lot more than I like the word referral. I don't know if you've ever asked somebody for referrals, or you've ever watched people ask other people for referrals. For a lot of people, their reaction when they're asked just becomes this visceral, negative, I don't know what to say. I don't know who to introduce you to. I don't know. And it can be challenging sometimes to get people comfortable with referring you to other people. But the true masters of their craft in selling master the art of leveraging relationships, and they understand how to make that process easier and more smooth. And what I want to do is I want to give everybody today a real easy tip on how to address that, how to make that more comfortable. The first is stop using the word referral. Now, I'm not anti-referral. Obviously, I've generated a lot of referrals in my career. I'm not anti-referral. I'm not saying don't ask for referrals. I'm saying don't call them referrals. Don't mention them to people as referrals. And the reason is people hear the word referral and they clam up. They build a little wall between you and them, not because they don't want to help you and not because they aren't willing to do it. It's because sometimes they just feel a little awkward or uncomfortable. And it could come from a lot of different places. We're not going to get into that in great detail today. But what I'm going to encourage you to do, if you really want to master your system, if you really want to dial in your sales success and absolutely get to a point that you can triple your sales results in 6 months or less, you better master the art of leveraging relationships and generating friendly introductions or warm introductions. Now, I use that phrase because I think that's a lot easier for people to hear and take and absorb than the word referral. And I want you to imagine this. I want to paint a picture for you, and I want you to use this analogy. I've used it for many years. I think it's powerful. I think it's easy, that something everybody can relate to. Imagine if you're sitting at the kitchen table with somebody that you know, friend, family member, or client, doesn't matter who it is. You're sitting there with them having a cup of coffee. And all of a sudden there's a knock on the back door of that person's home, and somebody walks into the kitchen and they walk into the room, and it's you, the person you were originally sitting with, and this new person. All we are asking your client or your relationship to do is to make a friendly and warm introduction. So I use that analogy because when you ask people, I recommend you use something like that. I recommend you say to them, look, I'm not asking you to qualify this person or, tell me anything about. I'm not asking for any of that. I'm just asking kind of as if they just walked in the room and we were sitting here talking, having a cup of coffee. Would you introduce them to me? And of course they would. Of course they would. They wouldn't be rude. They'd introduce you to them. It's a warm introduction. That's all you're looking for. And I encourage you to start using the phrase warm or friendly introduction instead of referrals. Again, I'm not saying we don't ask for referrals. I'm saying we stop calling them referrals. It will make things a lot easier. So moving on, number 3, and this is when we start really getting into the meat of the critical must-haves for your sales success. If you want to get to a point that you can triple your sales results in 6 months or less, I'm going to tell you right here, right now, this is where you need to focus. You need to be paying attention. If you're getting distracted right now, stop what you're doing, listen to the live, and make sure you're paying attention to the rest of this because this is critical to your success. You need to make sure if you want to triple your sales results in 6 months or less that you create a powerful, irresistible offer that you can present to people. Now, I could do a whole course on powerful, irresistible offers, but the fact is it needs to be powerful and irresistible. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, let's just unpack that a little bit. Let's just talk for a couple of minutes about what that means. At the top of the list, by way of powerful, it needs to solve a big problem. It needs to address a major need, want, or desire. It needs to be powerful, impactful. It really needs to be something that is significant. If your offer is weak, if what you do is not that life-altering or not that impressive, keep in mind the world we live in today. There is just a ton of noise out there, a ton. How is your offer going to be heard if it's not powerful and impactful? How is it going to be received if it's quiet compared to everything else that's out there? So your offer needs to be powerful. Now, it also needs to address a major thing. It needs to solve a major problem or address a major need or create something that is truly desired in your ideal prospect, right? So you need to have a really dialed in, powerful, irresistible offer. Now, the irresistible part is critical in that sentence as well. And let's talk about what I mean by that. See, your irresistible offer is something that just viscerally connects to that person and makes them want to take action. You've already delivered a powerful offer. It's something that is significant. It solves that big problem. It addresses that major need, or it gets them closer to what they really desire or want most. It's powerful. But the offer also needs to be irresistible. It needs to be something that they can't help but look and get more information on. There needs to be something that draws them in to make sure that they take action. Right? Now, I'm not talking about a formal call to action, but I am talking about an offer that is clear that it's going to be impactful and significant, and the offer is irresistible. Okay? And I'll give you an example. The offer that we use for Impact Sales Mastery with the Sales Activist, our foundational sales coaching program, is pretty straightforward. We will teach you and show you how to triple your sales results in 6 months or less, guaranteed, all without spending a single dollar on advertising, okay? It's a powerful, powerful offer. Why? Because everybody wants to improve their sales results. People would love to triple their sales results in 6 months or less. And they definitely would love to do it without spending any extra money on advertising. And the fact that we throw in a guarantee makes the offer irresistible, okay? It makes the offer that most people look at and go, I want to take a closer look at this. And that's an example of a powerful, irresistible offer. Now, it doesn't matter what your product is, your service is, or whatever it is that you're doing. You need to make sure that your offer is powerful, it's dialed in, and it creates truly an irresistible feeling to your prospects or clients. Now, one of the other things that I think, is important in these things, your offer also needs to resonate with people in an emotional way. And this is something that I think is important for people to understand, and we'll dig into this a little bit more as we go further into this live, but there needs to be some emotional connection to wanting to address whatever it is that your emotion or your offer addresses. It needs to be emotional, it needs to be significant and real, and it needs to resonate with people. They need to almost have this feeling in their gut, in their stomach, in their spirit that they have to look at this, that they have to deal with this. Maybe you're reminding them of something that they need to address or want or need, or maybe there's this major problem they need to fix or solve, but it needs to resonate emotionally. So I want you to think about all of that when you're designing your powerful, irresistible offers. Does it do all those things? Because if it doesn't, you're probably not going to get the results that you're hoping to get. If your offer doesn't do that, there's just so many options that are out there for people nowadays that it'll be hard to not only stand out and be seen in the first place, it'll be really hard for you to get people to take action on it. It needs to be something that's powerful and irresistible for them to really jump in. And that's why we start there. That's why it's a critical must-have. You could do everything else right, but if your offer is not addressing a major issue, it's not that powerful, and it just doesn't come off as irresistible, it's something like everything else that's out there, it's going to be hard for you to be seen and heard. And it's definitely going to be hard for people to respond to it. They're just not going to. So keep that in mind. That's a critical piece of your success. It's a definite must-have. Now, here's where we're going to dive into the next two critical must-haves, number 4 and 5. And these two are biggies. I've done whole live streams on these two particular things, but these are two things that you have to get right or wrong. When I get asked as a consultant to come in and talk to businesses about what's going on with sales in their business, what struggles they're encountering, what problems they may be facing, what's working or not working, I will tell you exactly where I laser focus my time and energy. And it's on number 4 and number 5 coming up on the next slide. These two next points are big ones. So if you've gotten distracted from this live stream, get refocused, take a close look at what we're going to be covering here over the next couple of minutes, because these are big ones. These are the problems that people usually have to solve. When a sales result is not where it needs to be, this is where I look. This is the first place that I look, these next two items. So definitely pay attention. And here they are. Number 4. This is a critical must-have for your success. If you want to triple your sales results in 6 months or less, you better build or have an organic, consistent, and repeatable prospect or client acquisition system using real engagement, okay? Using real engagement. Now, I'm going to repeat that. You need to have or build an organic, consistent, and repeatable prospect or client acquisition system, or a CAS, utilizing real engagement, okay? This is really, really important. This is a powerful point that you need to master. You need to create engagement, okay? I believe people fail a lot in sales because they've fallen victim to technology. I think sometimes for people, they've been bitten by the technology bug and they want to automate everything and they want everything to be in, technology-driven solution. And that could do a piece of it, right? But the fact is, your best results come from real engagement, true engagement. I believe that many people suffer in sales because they suffer with a condition that I call FTE syndrome, okay? Or failure to engage syndrome. They don't engage people. They do kind of drive-by marketing where they throw marketing out there. They throw their offer out there. They send blind messages, but they don't engage. And they just run, doing all those other things, but they don't stop to catch their breath and truly engage people, okay? Now, this is so critical to your success. And I just told you that a lot of times when people fail, it's because they get so caught up in wanting to be everywhere and they want to post here and have ads there and run this there, but they don't engage and connect with people. And that failure to engage syndrome that people suffer from nowadays holds them back. And I believe the easiest way to solve that is to focus on building an organic, consistent, and repeatable client acquisition system using real engagement. Now, you can do this a lot of different ways. Your system doesn't have to be one way or another. It could be a lot of different ways. As long as it's organic, consistent, and repeatable, and that you're using real engagement. Now, I personally am a huge fan of LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, been a LinkedIn early adopter, was there shortly after that it launched at the beginning. And I believe it's still, especially in the B2B space, one of the best places that you can be to create real engagement with people and do it in a systematic way and make the most of your time. In fact, I've been fortunate enough to be able to have used LinkedIn to help me generate significant earnings and commissions in multiple industries. So I know that it works across all kinds of different industries. It's now one of the most robust search engines in the world as well. You can get a lot of amazing information right from the LinkedIn database. You can utilize LinkedIn, the normal program. You can utilize LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get even more data. There's just a lot of information out there. But you better focus on building real engagement, connecting with people, making sure that you are communicating with them in a way that resonates with them. And this is so important because when people fail, it's usually not because they're not trying. It's usually because the things they are trying aren't effective enough, and they haven't figured out enough of what works versus what doesn't work. And I'll give you an example, and this may hit home for a lot of people. You know, people will dip their toe in the water of a lot of different things. They'll try this, they'll try that, but they won't dig deep to make sure that those things are really working. And sometimes instead of making adjustments and making it work more effectively, they'll just switch and try something entirely different, and they never gain any traction. And it's usually because of this drive-by mentality of marketing. They just keep splashing their marketing message in a bunch of different places. And I believe one of the best things that you can do is narrow your focus on one or two things, very, very detailed, and do it really well. One of them, in my opinion, should be LinkedIn. You could generate real engagement. You can move it offline, have individual meetings one-on-one. You could do it remotely. You can meet them in person. There's all kinds of crazy things, but the best place to get that started is in LinkedIn. Again, my opinion, I just think it's a powerful place. But you definitely need to have an organic, consistent, and repeatable prospect client acquisition system, or CAS. So that's number 4. What's number 5? Now, this one is a good one. This is one that I enjoy talking about quite a bit because this is another area where people struggle with their sales success. You need to have, in addition to having a repeatable and effective and true, real engaged client acquisition system, you need to have number 5, which is you need to deploy an easy to follow sales process. Now, why is an easy to follow sales process so important? Well, I'm going to break it down for you. A lot of times people fail in sales, not only because they don't have the right client acquisition system, but their sales process is too complicated. It's too complicated. It looks like nuclear science on a flow chart. It's just way too complicated. Now, I believe, and for many years, I've taught and coached and mentored people on simplifying the sales process, focusing on certain key areas and not getting off track. Now, why is that so important? Well, that's so important because whether you knew this or not, I know you do, but whether you knew this or not, all kinds of things outside of your control can knock you off track, can knock your sales process off track. The last thing that you can afford, if you really want to be successful in sales and you really want to triple your sales results in 6 months or less, is a sales process that's overly complicated. Because when you take an overly complicated sales process and you combine it with third-party factors that knock things off track, decision makers changing, businesses closing, timelines changing, people canceling and rescheduling appointments, your sales process is organically going to change. It's organically going to have curveballs thrown at it. So the only thing that you can do to make that process more effective is to make your sales process easy to follow. And I deployed many years ago what I call the withou method. Okay. You all remember your vowels in school, A-E-I-O-U. Well, I deployed an easy to follow and, more importantly, easy to remember sales process called the withou method, A-E-I-O-U. And I'm going to go through what they are. I'm going to explain why they're so powerful and why it's important that you follow an easy to follow sales process, something that's easy to get back to. So at the top of the list is A. Your sales process starts with you attracting people to you. Now, that attraction takes a lot of shapes and forms, and whether you knew it or not, your sales process actually starts with how you're marketing. It starts with how you're engaging people. So you have to attract people to you. People have to be drawn to you. That includes your offer, that includes your messaging, includes your copy, everything. But it also includes something that people don't talk about a lot, but you have to resonate as somebody that people want to connect with. You have to be somebody that's appealing or attractive to people that they want to engage with. Maybe they just like your energy. They like the way you look and the feel about how you do what you do. They like the way you talk. They like the way you handle yourself. Whatever it is, you need to be an attractor for people. You need to draw them in. That's the first part of the sales process, okay? People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. The middle part, like, that's part of the attraction. They better like you, or you're not gonna have an opportunity for them to trust you. Okay, so A for attract. The next one is E for engage. There's that E word again. You need to engage people, truly engage them. Now, how you engage them is really, really important. What you do is really important. Handling yourself the right way in your engagement makes all the difference in the world. Okay. I don't have enough time in a live stream event over an hour to cover all the different nuances to engagement, but it is critical to your success. You need to engage people the right way. Okay? You can't just pitch product. You can't just pitch solution. You have to engage people the right way. Now, the third step is impact. Now, impact is capitalized. Impact is where your sale is made, believe it or not. Your impact stage is where you truly highlight what they need most, what the impact will be on them, and potentially putting together all the things that you need to be able to win the business, okay? Notice that impact comes before O for offer. Before you ever talk about what you do, before you ever talk about your offer and what it means and what the features and the benefits are, you're exploring impact. And it's amazing to me how many people have that backwards. Now, it's not just in this order because that's the way the vowels are ordered. It's in this order because this is the most effective way. Now, I want to stop right here in the delivery of the sales process and explain why easy to follow makes a big difference. Well, here's the other factor and why impact is capitalized. It's so important that you get people to emotionally connect with you and what you're doing. And the way you do that is by getting them talking, getting them expressing to you the impact that certain things are having on them. So you know what their hot buttons are. So you know what the highlights are that you need to address when you make your offer. And more importantly, so that you earn the right as their trusted advisor because you've explored these things with them. And an easy to follow sales process is really important because sometimes, as I said a few minutes ago, you get knocked off track. You get turned away from what people are doing. It's so important that when this happens, you need to make sure along the way that you are clearly and concisely delivering maximum impact on your clients. But when things get off track, and let's say you have to reschedule another appointment, and you need to start over, it's really important that you know where you go in the process. Where do you go back to? And the answer is very simple, but it's amazing how many times people miss it, okay? So in this example, because the sale is really made emotionally in the impact stage, what happens with a lot of people is they get into the offer stage and they make their offer and they're trying to win the business. Maybe they're trying to close them on winning the business. Notice there's no C in here. We'll talk about that in a minute. They get to the point that they think that they're ready to go. And then something changes and they have to reschedule the appointment and they come back, right? Well, instead of doing the right thing and going back to the impact phase where the emotional connection is made with the sale, with the transaction, they go right back to the offer stage because that was where things were left. And they just think, well, I'm right in the place that I was. And the answer isn't that. The reason why you need a simple, easy to follow sales process is when something changes, you know where you need to go back to re-engage. And that point is always the impact stage. Now, it might be a little earlier if you hadn't gotten there yet. Like if you really didn't get to a point that you engaged them to any great degree, maybe you got to go back all the way to the engagement phase, to the E phase. But one thing's for sure, if you have a complicated sales process and you keep getting knocked off track by things your prospects do or the schedule does or the terms and conditions change in the whole thing, it becomes difficult for you to develop a cohesive flow to what you're selling. So easy to follow is important. And I encourage you to follow this withou method. We'll talk more about that. Finally, we get to O. We get to offer. We get to what it is that we do and how it can help them. After going through attract, engage, and exploring the impact, we're finally talking about our offer. Now, how you present your offer is just an art form in and of itself, doing it the right way. And if you do it the right way versus the wrong way, it'll have a huge impact in your success. If you really can dial in your easy to follow sales process, you will be well on your way to tripling your sales results in 6 months or less. But you have to make sure that all these things are dialed in. It's a large part of the work that we do with the sales activist is helping people fix not only their sales process, but also their client acquisition system, making sure that those things work together the right way. Because if you go through all of this and something along the way was broken and it wasn't set up the right way, and you make your offer, your results won't be as good as what they should be. They just won't. And I want you all to have great success. I want you all to have phenomenal sales results. So it's important that you understand that dialing that in and doing it the right way around your offer is a big deal. And finally, we get to U for understanding. U for understanding. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means at the completion of this sales process, we're going to have an understanding. Now, that understanding may be a successful close and they're going to move forward with us. They're going to work with us. We're going to do something for them. That may be one of the end results. Okay. The understanding may be that the answer is no, that they're not going to work with us, that they're not going to do something, that they're not going to be a client of ours. That's okay as well. It's amazing to me how many times people go through a sales process and things just kind of hang there. Like, and I don't know if this sounds like something you've experienced or are experiencing currently, because if it is, I can certainly help you with this. But things just hang there. They go through this amazing process and they present something to somebody, they think the person's into it, and it just hangs there. There's no understanding. It's not tied together. Nobody knows what happens next. It's just this, open-ended status situation. It just is never good. You need to make sure that your sales process has a clearly defined beginning and end, even if that end means no, they're not going to work with you. Okay. And I want you all to understand this methodology. I think it's really important that you absorb this and take this to heart. Yes is preferred. Obviously, we want to work with as many people as we can. And you can communicate this to your prospects, by the way. Yes is preferred. Would love to work with you. No is acceptable. I understand. Maybe it's a no. Maybe it's not right now. But either way, it's a no. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. What we don't want to have a whole lot of is maybes. We don't want to have these maybes hanging out there, dragging out the sales process. It will kill your momentum. It will kill your effectiveness, and it will absolutely impact your sales results. The more people that are out there that are maybes, the more people you are chasing, the less likely that you will generate significantly improving sales results. So if you don't have an understanding on the end of your sales process, and that understanding isn't clearly defined and delivered the right way, you're going to have gaps and you're going to have problems. It's a large part of things we fix with people that we work with the sales activists, simply because it impacts so many people. You need to deploy an easy to follow sales process. See, if this process is complicated and there's 20 other steps and all these other phases and stages and all these other things, I'm going to tell you, it becomes really, really difficult on the person trying to sell. Absolutely. I come in many times and I talk with businesses and companies and the owners of the companies, and we see great salespeople struggling because sometimes the sales process is too complicated. Sometimes their salespeople are great people, good communicators, good salespeople, but the sales process is not doing them any favors. So I encourage you to deploy an easy to follow sales process. If you need help making your process easy to follow, we would love to help you. Okay. We would absolutely love to help you. You can see in the bottom of our screen, you can connect with us anytime. We'd love to talk with you about it. But having and deploying an easy to follow sales process is a big one. Moving on, number 6, and this one is a big one because I think this ultimately impacts more people than a lot of other things as well. You need to, at all costs, don't just settle for delivering value. Now, what do I mean by that? Obviously, you have to deliver value. I believe you need to deliver value, and it needs to be significant, right? But here's what I mean by that. In today's world, the world we live in today, with all the noise and all the available options, I mean, think of it. People can grab a smartphone and they can find 2,000 other people that do what you do. And I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm just being honest that information is everywhere. It's information overload. Value has now become commoditized. Value has now become the minimum expectation. Like, years ago, when I started as a salesperson 30 years ago, most of the value came from the salesperson, right? Almost all of it, because people had limited options to educate themselves prior to that. It wasn't as easy to get information. Well, nowadays, studies have shown that as much as 67% of the information that people need to collect about buying decisions, they already have in advance sometimes of even seeing a salesperson. They've done their research. They know what they want. They have a sense of what they need. That information's there. Value has now become a higher bar to hit. And that's so important to understand because there's still a ton of people, the majority of people, better than 90% of people, that only settle for value. They settle at just delivering value. They get to the point that they feel that they've delivered a value from the client. They ask for the business. They try to close there, and that's what they think is enough. But value isn't really enough anymore. You need to pivot how you look at that and focus your time, your energy on exploring impact. Exploring impact. Okay. And I'm going to give you a quick example of kind of what that looks like. And I'm just going to use an analogy. I'm going to describe a situation and you'll understand right away what I'm talking about. So imagine you have a product, a service, or an offering, and it saves a business money. Doesn't matter what it is. It saves a business money. And let's say it saves that business $250,000. $250,000 savings from the product or service that you offer, right? Obviously, $250,000 is a significant number, right? It's valuable, and your service is valuable because it delivers $250,000. But knowing that, and knowing that there's probably competitors out there and competition that might be out there doing the same things or close to the same things that you do, you have to make the assumption that other people can deliver the $250,000. So $250,000 is the value. That's what they're getting, right? That's based on logic. That's based on a fact. It's something that they can see. It's tangible, right? Impact is what the $250,000 means to the prospect, means to the client, what they get for it, and what ultimately it can turn into. And here's how I want you to look at this situation. So if you slip a check across somebody's table or desk and it's for $250,000, the value is right there in front of them. But exploring impact and what they're going to do with that $250,000 is where the elite sales professional just gets warmed up. Imagine sitting there talking to that prospect and saying, so I'm so excited that our company can save you $250,000, $250,000. Can I ask you a question? If I was to hand that check over to you right now, what would you do with the money? And then let them tell you. And maybe the answer is, you know what? We'll finally be able to expand the way we've been thinking about for years. We'll finally be able to add new people to make our processes more efficient. Or we'll finally be able to invest in technology that will ultimately improve our bottom line more than the $250,000. And then You explore that with your prospect, your client. You dig deeper. You figure out what that means to them personally, professionally, financially. You start digging a little deeper. Now, why is that so important? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the average sales professional, probably 90% of people, will focus on the $250,000. They'll focus on that as the value. They'll try to win the business there, and they will. Many people will, as could you. But if you really want to go next level, if you really want to level up, if you really want to triple your sales results or 6 months or less, you need to be focusing on impact. Where are your greater opportunities to upsell people with additional products or services? Well, they're on the impact side. See, there's a line in your sales interaction. I call it the impact line. And when you cross that impact line, that's when everything becomes possible, because you focused on impact. You've done a bunch of other things for them. Because you now are talking differently than what other people talk, you're asking better questions, you're developing a deeper relationship, you're becoming, whether you knew this or not, the trusted advisor for that client. You're talking about things that the average person doesn't talk about with them. The average sales professional, I just said, probably stops at value at that $250,000. But imagine you're talking to them about what that $250,000 means, the impact, and it turns into millions of dollars or millions of opportunities for them. That's what exploring impact is all about, not settling for just value. Now, you guys have all heard the phrase, if you sell on price, you'll lose business on price, right? Well, guess what? It's changed in the modern sales world. It's now, if you sell only on value, you will lose business on impact. Because the more people that are out there selling with impact, the harder it is for you to stand out. If all you're doing is talking about the $250,000, somebody like me or like one of the people that I've coached or trained or mentored that talks about impact is going to look a lot more impressive to your prospects and clients than you may. And I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm just trying to lay it out for what it is. The deeper you explore that relationship, the deeper you explore impact, the more you are earning their trust, because you're doing things that other people don't do. You're getting to know them on a deeper level. You're earning the right to sit at their table to talk about things that other people don't talk about with them. And that's where your greatest sales success will come from. That's where tripling your sales results in 6 months or less can be done. Now, for number 6 to be effective, you need to master numbers 1 through 5. You need to make sure that all of those things are well on track and delivered the right way. Okay? You need to be sure along the way that all 6 of them are dialed in. Your mindset needs to be right. You need to work with people the right way. You need to have a powerful and irresistible offer. You need to make sure you have a repeatable, simple, and easy to follow client acquisition system that's based on real engagement. You need to have an easy to follow sales process that's based on impact. And finally, at number 6, you need to focus your energy, your time, your commitment on exploring impact. I want to highlight a couple of other reasons why impact is so powerful for you as well. I want you to think of this. If you only sell on value, you will lose to somebody who sells using impact, because they're going to see more potential, more increased perceived value because of the conversation about impact. But what happens when you only sell on the value? That person comes in and takes that business. Does that mean you can't go win it back by talking about impact? No, of course not. Of course you can. You can go back and talk about impact and explore that with them. You find it a lot easier to save and protect business when you sell using impact. It becomes easier to upsell business on existing clients when you talk about and explore impact. The deeper you expand those relationships, the deeper you explore impact, the more that you know that those things mean to somebody, the easier it becomes for you to identify opportunities to work with them more. The easier it becomes for them, here's one we mentioned earlier, to create warm introductions for you. If you talk about impact, if you sell differently than everybody else, if you explore impact in a way that nobody's ever done with them before, it becomes very easy and comfortable for them to make warm introductions to you of people that they know. Because what you did with them was special, unique, different. You stood out. It's an easier process. And finally, the other piece that you need to understand that's so powerful about impact is selling and using impact is a great tool to go back and win back clients that you may have lost before. And that's a whole different sales process, but the impact part is critical. If you've lost business because you didn't sell on impact the first time around, well, go back and re-engage those people and start following that path, that method. Now, I'm going to tell you, impact is not the easiest thing to master. You need to work on it like anything else. You need to perfect your craft by working on impact. And that's a large part of the work that we do with Impact Sales Mastery at the Sales Activist. And if you're interested specifically in impact or the other elements that are must-haves here, and you just know deep down that you quite aren't mastering those things, we would love to help you. You could just text the word sales to the number 409-509-7355. That's texting the word sales to the number 409-509-7355. You can connect with us. You can connect with our digital assistant. You could schedule a time to talk with us. We'll talk all about helping you explore impact and help you get on your path towards generating triple the sales results you currently have in 6 months or less. If you're looking for a guarantee on doing that, you definitely want to connect with us. That's the work that we do. It's what we've mastered. Now, if you're not going to reach up to us to help, that's okay. If you're going to go on your own and do these things and master these things, I implore you to go back and watch this recording again. Watch it again. Go back, review it, dial in these points because they are big ones. You absolutely want to master these 6 things. They will make all the difference in your success, okay? You want to master your sales success mindset. You want to understand and master leveraging personal relationships and creating warm introductions, okay? It all ties together. You want to create a powerful and irresistible offer. You definitely want to have a repeatable, easy, based on real engagement client acquisition system. That's a big one. You want to have an easy to follow sales process. I like the withou method, AEIOU. You want to follow that. If you have a complicated sales process, I want to talk to you. You better talk to me now because complicated sales processes can really hold you back from success. And finally, you want to make sure that you are exploring impact, that you're not settling for value. You're just not. Now, I want to tell you that without a doubt, whether you're a coach, consultant, entrepreneur, sales professional, sales challenges or problems happen at a lot of different times for a lot of reasons. If we can help you in any way, we're here. Just text the word sales to 409-509-7355. We'll schedule a time to talk. We'll have a complimentary strategy session just to hear what's going on with sales in your business, and we'll do whatever we can to help. This has been a great experience having the opportunity to talk with you all about these things and the importance that these things can have on your success. I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to highlight for everybody that right now, more than ever before, especially at the end of the year, dialing these things in for your success is just critical. If you aren't focused on these things, you're going to struggle to get a fast start to your next year. But if you really want to triple your sales results in 6 months or less, go back over the list that we covered today. Make sure you're focusing on these things. And if you want a guarantee of delivering on 3x your sales results in 6 months or less, reach out to us. We'll talk to you exactly about how we do it, how we can do the very same for you, and what that will look like for your sales success. This has been Joe Beck with the Sales Activist. Check us out on our YouTube channel, as well as the Impact Sales Podcast, where we interview top sales leaders and share game-changing, actionable content, best practices, and tips for sales success. This is Joe Beck, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.